Crucify him. He's a bad guy, therefore, and I'm saying again, it is easy for you to be told cries of farmers, cries of victims. And of course, we are not here to trivialize. Farmers have suffered in this matter. No one can deny that with a straight face. What happened is as unfortunate as it can get. But that would not justify a lynching or a crucify him approach to the matter before you. That is why under the Constitution, Chair, you are to investigate. Your duty is not just to roll heads, to serve somebody's head in a platter so that the masses can stop saying crucify him. We are baying for blood. Honorable Chair.
Let us be honest. Let us not waste the time of the committee. We are doing so, I'm sorry. Linturi himself has said very loudly that the farmers who received this fake fertilizer should be compensated. He has said so very loudly.
Honorable Chair, I will seek your protection because I now believe there is a strategy to interject so that my thoughts don't flow. I never talked when they were talking for a whole 40 minutes. There were many things they said that I had issues with.
Council, we are aware of all this, and Senior Council, you had your time, and if we keep interjecting, then we will interfere with this time. We are already, we will add in some more time as a result of what we are doing. Kindly be patient because you had 40 minutes to...
Thank you very much, but only one sentence.
Yes.
He did not interject because we were talking sense.
We'll leave that to the committee, Honorable Chair.
I think we want to add Senior Council Kaminwa and my brother here to give him time to finish because when they were also raising their issues, we kept quiet. Because I remember at one point, the mover talked of a fake minister, and we didn't raise anything. So let us allow him to proceed the way we allowed also. Sure.
We have already said that.
Honorable Chair, the member is supposed to be neutral. So he's saying we didn't. I thought they're supposed to be the ones to say we. He is supposed to be a neutral arbiter in this thing unless he declares it.
We are a neutral team.
Chair,
yes.
we're talking about parliamentary language. We didn't interject.
He is referring to us as parliamentary committee, and we meant all of us. So please let us not do a lot of interjection because that will consume a lot of his time and also interfere with the flow of his presentation. Thank you. You can resume.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And I was saying it is because of these dangers of bias, prejudice, that our law forbids the use of character evidence, disposition evidence, similar fact evidence. Basically, all I'm saying is that this matter is not one in which we can judge Linturi for his so-called reputation. I now come to the mandate of this committee, Honorable Chair, as directed by the Speaker. The Speaker said these proceedings are quasi-judicial and they have to be characterized by heightened degrees of conscientiousness, fairness, transparency, and whatnot. My understanding, Chair, of which I could be wrong, is that this committee is sitting as judges. You're not sitting in this committee in your capacity as members of the National Assembly. You're not sitting in this committee as representatives of whatever political formation.
I think we know our role. Can he focus on what brought us here? Fake fertilizer.
Honorable Omanyo, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Please, there is a lot of interference.
Yes, but our roles, we know our role.
Can we listen to him first, and then we will make our judgment?
Point of order, Chair. I think let's go back to the basics. That for the opening remarks, somebody should not be interrupted. I think that is the basics of any proceeding.
That's what I'm trying to
It's
say.
unfortunate we allowed it, but I think, Chair, you need to assert that for opening remarks, there are no interruptions whatsoever, period.
And I wonder why we are getting emotional. Please let us be patient, let us listen, let us not jump and make conclusions. And we were very fair with Honorable Wamboka and his team. So I don't see why we should, always interject when the council is presenting. Please let us be patient and give him the remaining time, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was to say you sit in this committee as judges, and the only point I wanted to highlight in this, of all the things human beings do, Honorable Chair, of all the offices human beings occupy, it is only in the office of judge that a human being takes the position of God to pass judgment on another human being. The other things we do are temporal. The administration of justice is something divine because it elevates the human being making that decision to the level of God. That is why our Constitution in the third schedule, Honorable Chair, says justice is to be administered, quote unquote, without any fear, favor, affection, bias, ill will, prejudice, or any political, religious, or other influence. I'm humbly submitting to you that this is the applicable constitutional threshold. That oath of office for judges is the applicable constitutional threshold for resolving the matter before you. I'm here to very humbly tell you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, that justice is a two-sided coin. A coin has two sides. There must be justice for farmers, but there must also be justice for the Honorable Linturi. An injustice to Honorable Linturi cannot be justice to farmers, just like an injustice to farmers cannot be justice to Honorable Linturi. And your duty as a select committee, therefore, is to inquire into this matter using that constitutional threshold that I've just alluded to, and to decide this matter as judges without fear, favor, and all those other things that I mentioned. When you see the motion before you, there is not a single act by Linturi, there is not a single act or omission disclosed on his part. On the contrary, what is before you are alleged acts of third parties. We are placed before you in document number 2 and in document number 21, evidence that shows that Linturi is not guilty of these allegations. We are here to tell you when we get there, Honorable Chair, that this motion seeks to punish a single CS for what is the official policy of the government of Kenya. The fertilizer subsidy program is officially part of the program of the Kenya Kwanza government. The motion itself concedes this, and in fact it states in black and white that this program, this policy, was part of the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, and it was even put to the voters in the election. How is it, therefore, Honorable Chair, that if those are the facts as pleaded by the mover, we now isolate one cabinet secretary for what is considered in the motion to be part of the official government policy and say this is the cabinet secretary who is liable for whatever went wrong with this policy? We will be asking you to check that the whole of ground 2, as I said, is matters that predate the appointment. We'll be urging you when we get there to note that the mover has lied. L-I-E, Honorable Chair. They have misrepresented one of the many family and commercial and whatever disputes in which he tells you that the Honorable Justice Ongundi condemned Linturi and found him guilty of some things here and there. On the contrary, because we have produced that document before you, that judgment, we will invite you to read it. It is, I believe, at page 228 of our Badu, to ask yourself, is it true? And are we going to believe a mover who has the audacity to even lie to you on a document that is in the motion in black and white? He tells you this is what the judge decided. It's there. That's not what the judge decided. On the contrary, that ruling upheld the complaint that the Honorable Linturi had raised about the persecution by the previous administration, about the previous administration latching on to personal, family law, and love matters to convert them into a tool for negative media campaign, as a tool for criminal arrest, as a tool for other forms of state-sponsored oppression. We will invite you to note at page 252, document number 10, that the matters were closed, as I told you. We will invite you through documents number 11 to 19, as I said, to note the courts, and I mentioned them, all of them, sitting in various stations, ruled in favor of Linturi. How can that material now, in which the courts ruled in favor of the Honorable Linturi, be the reason we are here? And lastly, Chair, so that I'll give my waiter at least 10 minutes, I want to come back to judging, because you're sitting here as judges, and I said judging is the only human enterprise where human beings take the seat of God and pass verdict on whether the behavior of other human beings is sinful, is criminal, is moral or immoral, and whatnot. And because it is something where we take the position of God by passing judgment, I am to reflect and ask myself, what does God teach us? Unfortunately, I'm not a religious man, and my interaction with religious texts, Honorable Chair, is sporadic and disjointed. But I tried the most I can to ask myself, what does, if we agree that judging, which is what you're doing, is the only activity in which we take the place of God? And I asked myself, from Islam, what do we learn? Because the dominant religions in Kenya are Islam and Christianity. In Islam, I checked one of the hadiths, Hadith 3566. The hadiths, Honorable Chair, are recordings of conversations the Holy Prophet is believed to have had with various actors and passed on the divine revelations to him. So this particular hadith is about judging, and it says, if I may read, judges are of three types, one of whom will go to paradise, and two to hell. The one who will go to paradise is a man who knows what is right and gives judgment accordingly. But a man who knows what is right and acts tyrannically in his judgment will go to hell. And a man who gives judgment for people when he is ignorant will go to hell. It's book 24 from, I think, Hadith 3566. You know, Chair, when I say you're acting in the place of God, because that's what the law permits you to do, if you doubt that you're actually in the place of God, the decision you make, there is no legal recourse against it, just like judgments passed by God. You know, the other judgments, we go in the lower courts and whatnot, you can appeal to the High Court, appeal to the Court of Appeal, appeal all the way to the Supreme Court. Yes.
I need to notify you that you have less than 9 minutes now, together with the time that we have added you. We have added you 5 more minutes because of the interaction.
Can I assume you will allow my friend the 10 minutes I had craved for? Unfortunately, all the interjections now sort of mumbled up my time consciousness.
Then that would mean you conclude and we allow...
Okay, just 1 minute I conclude, then my waiter will do 10 minutes, Honorable Chair. I asked myself what we learned from the Holy Bible about judging, and we are told one of the things in Matthew 7 is, let's be slow to judge, lest the same measure be used to judge. Again, the same measure we use to judge others be used against us. We are told in another biblical text about judging the speck in your brother's eye and forgetting the log in your own eye. And why I ask this is the mover told you many things about the arrest of his spouse. And for me, the question is, where did he get the courage to move this motion when, as he was prosecuting it, his own spouse was defending herself in criminal proceedings for fraud. With those very many remarks, Chair, please allow me to call Mr. Mawira. And thank you very much for the time accorded to me.
Honorable Chair and the members, my name is Boniface Mawira. I will begin from what my learned senior Dr. Muthomi was alluding to, the issue of the judgment that the mover or the sponsor of this motion has referred to in allegation number 2. All these issues about love and affection. It is very unfortunate that as the Cabinet Secretary has to respond to these allegations, because from where we sit, they are really belittling of this committee, that this committee has to descend to that arena of love and affection. But because the Cabinet Secretary must respond, then we are compelled, Honorable Chair, to bring to your attention that there are 3 judgments, a judgment and 2 rulings. There are 3 judicial decisions by the courts of this republic that in all the 3 judgments, the courts, judges are found in favor of Honorable Linturi that all these allegations of uttering false documents, procuring execution of documents through false pretenses, allegations of forgery and fraud. These 3 different courts sitting in different stations in the Republic are found in his favor. And they have held in the judgment of 30th November that the mover has referred to in his motion, specifically ground 2, that the allegations of forgery, the allegations of uttering false documents, procuring false execution of documents, all those allegations are untrue. And that is why we say, Honorable Chair and the members, that the mover has seriously mischaracterized the judgment of 30th of November 2021, which we have referred to in our response. Even more importantly, Honorable Chair, you will note that ground 1E, allegation 1E in the motion, it talks about alleged gross violation of Article 152 of the, Article 152, 5 to 10 of the Constitution. We submit in response, Honorable Chair, that those provisions of the Constitution are incapable of breach by a Cabinet Secretary. There is no duty imposed in law on the Cabinet Secretary by Article 152 of the Constitution. Article 152 of the Constitution merely talks about the powers of the President to appoint a Cabinet Secretary, and even the powers of this committee, or even the National Assembly at large, to dismiss in the event that a motion calling for the dismissal of a Cabinet Secretary is upheld. So there is no specific duty imposed in law for the Cabinet Secretary under that constitutional provision. So it must therefore be that that constitutional provision is incapable of breach by the Cabinet Secretary. Honorable Chair, all the judgments that have been that are referred to in the motion under allegation number 2 about serious reasons to believe that the CS has committed a crime under national and international law, all those judgments that relate to this love and affection, all these judgments and all these matters that are referred to, all those court cases, they predate his appointment as CS. These are matters that were disclosed to the Committee on Appointments during the vetting of the CS. And these are matters, therefore, that could not have arisen as a result of the performance or the execution of the duties of the CS. These are matters that were there before, and the Committee on Appointments considered them in approving his nomination. Honorable Chair, my learned senior Dr. Hamino, in his opening statement, talked about the Evidence Act and the place of the Evidence Act in these proceedings. It is important that I make this clarification. in order to, not only to guide the committee, because we have made, in our response, we have made, in our response, Honorable Chair, there are documents that the mover in his motion has referred to, which we contend are inadmissible hearsay. And this committee, Honorable Chair, you will note, adopted rules on the 2nd of May of this year in its first sitting. And rule number 14 of those rules, Honorable Chair, says expressly that these rules shall complement the provisions of the Evidence Act. So it is not true, and in fact it is misleading for my learned senior to say that the provisions of the Evidence Act, specifically on the issue of inadmissible hearsay evidence, do not apply. This committee, in adopting its own rules, clarified and stated expressly that the provisions of the Evidence Act apply, and these rules merely complement, that is the language of the rules, they merely complement the Evidence Act. And therefore, it must be that those rules, especially on the admissibility of hearsay evidence, they must apply to these proceedings, Honorable Chair. There's another allegation, Honorable Chair, that the mover, in his opening statement, alluded to about Ugandan farmers sourcing and actually buying fertilizer. That is clearly meant for the Kenyan farmers. The subsidy program, Honorable Chair, you will note, for a farmer to be able to purchase fertilizer, they need to register on the Kenya Integrated Agriculture Management Information System, KIAMI system. And more than 4 million farmers have registered on that system. And the principal document for a farmer to be registered on the system is the ID card. So how is it possible then for a Ugandan farmer who is not Kenyan to acquire this fertilizer if they are not on the system? Because for you to get the fertilizer, you need to be registered on the system. Even more importantly, there is an e-voucher that is sent to your mobile phone number. So the ID is a principal document. And Ugandan farmers clearly do not have Kenyan ID cards. Honorable Chair, I think the last point for me is on the issue of evidential threshold, as my learned senior Dr. Mugomi alluded to. The Sonko case is clear that when it comes to matters of admissibility of evidence, inadmissible hearsay evidence would clearly fall short of the evidential threshold and the nexus that the Supreme Court stated is required before a resolution for removal of a state officer from office. And Honorable Chair, I would just want this Honorable Committee to take note that let the committee, because we have had in other proceedings elsewhere, before the Senate, and specifically when the Senate was debating the impeachment bill that is currently before Senate, I personally heard the majority leader of the Senate say that that bill is meant to cure or to remedy the problems that arose after Governor Sonko was unlawfully handed out of office. So let us not, Honorable Chair, fall for that mistake. My last point for me, Honorable Chair, is what my learned senior, and as we've been saying, the Honorable Member for Waldai is the real face behind this impeachment motion. And as my learned senior confirmed, he even met her yesterday evening. He met her yesterday evening and she was telling him she does not even have a child with the Honorable C.S. Linturi. Clear, what would be the motive for the council representing the sponsor to meet her if she is not the real face behind the motion? And the entire ground two, all those allegations that point to these personal, family, civil, commercial disputes are between the CS and the member for Waldai constituency. So clearly she is the face behind this motion. And that is why we are saying this motion is actuated by malice and personal vendetta. Honorable
Manyo, please let us continue because it's just about to conclude.
I want to protect the lady in question. We are talking about Linturi, not the ex.
Thank you.
Honorable Manyo, the matter was brought by the sponsor of the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for the protection. Honorable Chair, my last point for me is let us do justice. As my senior said, justice is a two-sided coin. And injustice to Linturi does not mean justice to the farmers. Justice for the farmers does not mean injustice to Linturi. Let justice be done to either party. And the CA sympathizes with the plight of Kenyan farmers. The farmers who are duped, they have suffered enough. But let justice be done for both parties. Thank you, Honorable Chair, and the Honorable Committee for listening to me.
Thank you for
Chairman, I don't know whether you may allow me 1 minute.
keeping time. Yes, 1 minute I will allow you.
Chairman, let me respectfully make a comment. I'm really not going to really deliver so much on what my defense has said. I just want to mention to the members.
Honorable Ministers, Cabinet Minister, please go in front and use that.
Chair, as he's going there, on a light note, CS Linturi is a chairperson. It is not chairman because our chair is a lady.
Chairman Konosa, on a point of order, Chair. Chairman is a position, can be a lady. And I'll tell you, there's a lady who was elected the chair of a Eldoret club. And she said, I will be called the chairman. That was Dr. Professor Yego. And she remained as the, it doesn't have a gender orientation.
I know man stands for both, but please, because of time, let us allow the Cabinet Minister to continue.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair, let me appreciate what the committee is doing, because that's a constitutional responsibility to discharge. But I've inclined, felt that I must really say something, because Chair, whatever I've gone through for a number of years, and which is also manifesting itself here, is not anything I would want to wish any human being. It has been a long journey, very painful, and when I thought I'd gone through that kind of trauma, the motion is here with the same stories that I've been trying to fight over years. When Learned Council, Camino, tries to trivialize this matter, it pains me because it doesn't know how painful it is. Because, Chairman, there is no, in the history of the judicial system, nowhere, and this matter has ever been done or conducted live on TV. It was mine. And that was the reason when Dr. Muthomithia Nkulu tries to contextualize this story, then it's not taken seriously. Just like as mentioned, there's a judgment there by Ongundi, which clearly in a paragraph says that is what happened. When counsel for the mover accepts in before this committee that was called, I was having a discussion with the so-called, with the person that you are referring to as a proxy. One wonders what is it that was being discussed. So, members of this committee, I would want to say one time that as we look into this matter, let us really look at the matter on the basis of evidence and the fact. I am ready to defend myself, and I really know the pain that the number of farmers that already interacted with the few bags of fertilizer. I really feel for them. And I've taken corrective measures from the ministry. Those people that we believe were culpable, I've already taken plea. And Chairman, I want to leave it at that, but it's very painful for me because when I took over the ministry, the country was in a crisis, didn't have food. We were trying to import food. We've produced 67 million bags within the first year. And when we are telling people going back to the farms, I thank the farmers that came to listen to us. I was shown Jahon, and because this is what I would call occupational hazard, because it comes with the job I'm doing. But remember, members, I sat on that side for 15 years. You may also cross to this side. So as you decide on this matter, please note do injustice. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Members, we are done with opening statements from both the parties. Now we will proceed to evidence taking. Honorable Jack Wanami Wamboka, Member of Parliament for Bumula constituency, you have 4 hours. And I ask the clerk now to administer the oath because you are the first witness.
I'm sure you need a break also, my lady.
Members are in agreement, 10 minutes, and then we resume. Thank you.